today it's time for another story time. All right, so we got chapter 2 and 3 today. I know it's been a minute since I did a story time and did the story, but it's time to get it started. Hey, as always, it's on Wattpad, and yeah, what else do I want to tell you guys before we start? Chapter 2 and 3. If y'all want to recap, I can recap for you guys right now. So basically, last chapter was the beginning. Romanji from the stairs of his house ended up fighting an elephant, and Trey had to kill him. You know, and now they're just sitting on the porch, and something like that. I think. I don't know, but let's start. All right, chapter 2. All right, so they're coming back home because they just fought the elephant. They're going back home, and this is how it starts. Okay, they went home and knocked on the door. Their mom opened it, and she was like, "Hey, are you guys hurt?" Like, comforting them, checking them out, and then they was like, "Yeah, we're good." They trying to keep it nonchalant, but their mom started panicking because they had a cut on their neck. You remember the guy, the elephant guy? He stabbed them with the tusk. He was like, "Chew," and now they got matching scars. And then she was like, "Oh, sit down, sit down." You know how mothers be. They see one small thing, they be like, "Come on," but this wasn't small. It was bleeding. Then boom. So Layla's in there. She's talking about, oh, there's a big elephant, this, that, right? And she's like, it's so cool, right, mommy? And then Trey and Ramon, they're just looking at her like, she don't really know what happened for her. Like, they're smiling at her innocence. And then she's like, imagine if it was a bear. You guys should have seen it. She's talking, jumping on the couch. Now they're all sitting on the couch. The mom is like, Layla, come mix these herbs with me. And then they started mixing it around, da 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 da. And then they started putting the cream over over their the scars. They started putting the cream over it, and then Romanji's just staring at his mom like, you know, like eyeing her, you know, and then he just felt bad for her, and then she was like, yeah, Romanji, do I have something on my face? And then he was like, nah, ma, you know, he just thinking to himself now like, dang, what if something would have happened to her? I would have not been able to do anything. And that just made him like kind of sick inside. You feel me? That made him kind of sick inside. But, the cream, it helped the pain go away, but like it made it into a scar on their neck now. Now they both got scars on their neck. Now, the thoughts, Ramonji's like dwelling in a dark place. He's like, yo, like, we really weak out here. That guy could have done murdered us all. Like, you feel me? But so now he asks his mom, "Can I go sit on the porch?" And of course, Trey follow him. Now Trey and Ramondre are sitting on the porch, but they not talking right now. They not talking. They're just like there thinking. They Trey just killed the guy. They just seen a lot of the people die. They're just there. The sunset's supposed to be setting. They're not even paying attention to that. They can't even notice it until the sky turns dark. Next page. All right. If this was a picture book, it would be pretty nice. And then the sky turned dark. Trey's like, what now? And they heard flapping, right? And then a loud horn, boo, you know? Now Ramadi stood up. He tense. He on guard. Like, you see what just happened before? Now they ready. Now something flew by in the air, right? Ramadi started stumbling. Ramadi's a big buff dude, kind of like, and he started stumbling from something flying in the sky. Then after that, Ramadi's heart bumping and beating and like, you feel me? And then the sky turned even darker, and then boom, freaking papers started falling from the sky. Papers, all right. And now Romanji is like, he looking at it like, because one flew right by their porch, and Trey's like, it's just paper, bruh. And he picked it up. They began to read it, and I'm gonna read it to you guys. Welcome to the Universal Tournament. Everyone and anything is welcome. You receive many things if you win, including immense money, power, status. P.S. You will not be disappointed in the prize. Come and fight. Warning, death is permitted. Date, 3 years from now. Location, Bandiwangi. And the rotation of the tournament is blank. So how long y'all think it's gonna last? Now Romanji's excited. His eyes lit up. He's like, yo, Trey, you trying to go? And then, you know, Trey was like, nah. He started to sit back down. And then Romanji's like, come on, this is an opportunity. Trey just stayed quiet. You scared? Romanji started taunting him. Dude, I just don't want to get killed, man. That's what Trey said. And then Romanji's like, man, but I don't want to go alone. Then Trey yelled at him like, just don't go. And then Romanji's like, come on, Trey, let's do this. Trey took a deep breath. He started pacing, and he just decided like, I'm gonna go back in. And then he told Romanji like, this is life or death situation, man. I can't just say yes like that. Sorry, man. Then he opened the door to the house. I'm finna make wings, he said. You want some? Dang, Romanji said. So you're just gonna let me go on my own like that? And now Trey kind of furious now because this nigga he keep yapping. So Trey's like, he said, why are you even going anyways? You don't even have powers. And then like Romanji, he don't like to hear that. He was like, wow, don't go there, bruh. You can't control yours. You got levitation powers but can barely pick up a cup. Trey walked down from the porch. He heard Romanji's face like this now. He turned. He like, it saved you against that elephant dude. Which it did. And then he said, at least I have power. You powerless. You're going to have to read the book, see what he said. And Trey screamed. He threw a right hook. He like, boom. Now, Romanji dropped. He fell to the ground. He was just holding his cheek like, ah, this really just happened? This really just happened? Like, he was thinking, dang, Trey has never dropped me before by a punch. And then Trey yelled at him like, stay home. Personally, me, whoa. Romanji started spitting a little blood. He was like, poop. He started wiping it off. And he got up. He was like, all right. And then Trey was like, what you want to, boom. They socked him. Boom. And then Trey, he fell to the ground. Like, he started struggling. Like, he was not getting up. Like, he was not getting up at all. That punch really did him. Like, Romanji is stronger than a normal boy for his age. And everybody knows that. Romanji started yelling back. He was like, we finally have an opportunity to do something. Be something. Like, tell the truth. Are you happy with the situation we're in? Trey got up. He in pain. He's like, no, but we're 16, man. And we're from the alleys. Like, let's just rock what we got. Romanji scoffed. Like, he like, like he couldn't believe Trey was so comfortable being vulnerable. You know? He said, I'm going. Romanji tried walking past him into the house. Trey's like this. Put his hand on his chest like where you going type. And he started talking to him. So you're just gonna leave Mom and Layla here? You're supposed to be the man of the house, but you're decided to go on a stupid adventure. But now like Trey's saying that he had tears in his eyes, And Romanji replied like, I'm doing this for our family. You see the situation we're in. I gotta watch chapter 1 to see what the situation they're in. And then Trey, now Romanji's tearing up as well. Like there's tension. He's like, don't go. He wants to go. He doesn't want him to go. Da da da. And then Trey's like, I don't want to be in another situation like with what I had to do with the Elephant Man again. And now Trey's voice is breaking up. He want to kill again. He knows he don't have to. He don't want to kill again, man. He don't want to kill again. All right. And then Romanji's like, I understand, but if something like that happens again, then he yelled at him like, you couldn't even finish the job, Romanji. And then Romanji's like, I'll find another way around it. Trey's like, this dude, bruh. He made a disgusting face like you could ever win. Going to a worldwide tournament with no powers. Puh. He spit in the direction of Romanji. You must be stupid, he said. So you're doubting me? Is that how it is? Is that how it is now, man? Romanji's kind of mad. I guess so. Powerless. Trey said. Next page. That powerless statement hit a nerve in Romanji. Mind you, he was already thinking, wow, I'm already powerless, and he's gonna throw it in my face. Dang. And then Romanji like, what'd you say? I dare you say it again. Trey stopped for a second. He looked right at Romanji. Like he could see like this dude was desperate to go to this place. Like so he started kind of rage baiting. He was like, weak ass, small ass, whack ass. You know, he just kept going. And the Romanji was like, nah, say it. I dare you to say it again. You powerless. And Romanji punched him again. Boom, like this time, Trey was on the ground, like he flat on the ground. Romanji kicked him. Boom, right in the face. And shoot. Now Trey can't do nothing. Mind you, Romanji way stronger than bro. And then Trey trying to just move away, move away. Then Romanji got on top of him. Started punching on him. Boom. Bah. Gotcha. Gop. Dop. Bop. It just kept going. But he's blocking though. He's like, oh. But Romanji kept punching his arms until he like, you know when you block it, they just keep punching your arms and you just gotta, my arms. And boom, Romanji kept going against his face, pounding on him until his face was like flat against the ground. And he was like, whoa. And he finally, after he got up and his head hit the ground, like boom, you know, Romanji finally came back to his senses. Uh, he couldn't believe like he just did that to his own brother. And he started breathing heavy, like, and he was like, still like, you know, he about to cry, but he's like, I'm going, man. I'm going to win too, you know. And when I do, I'm going to change this place, and we all gonna be straight. Watch. Now Trey, he's on the ground, man. I feel bad for him. He's like, just don't go. And you know, he's crying now. Like he literally crying. Now Romanji is walking back to the house. And he's just like too weak to get up at this point. He's just like, Jay, you know? And boom, the door closed. Now Romanji went back into the house, no plan. You know, he got his school book bag. He's like, yo, I gotta get out of here. He knows his mom ain't gonna let him go. And he knows Trey is about to snitch when they get back inside there. Now, he grabbed the door handle, you know, and when he opened it, Trey was coming in, like holding his face, like in, you know, in pain. Trey glared at him, like, you know. Now, Romanji could see the sadness in his eyes. You know, Romanji returned the eye contact. Uh, Romanji's eyes, they were more filled with guilt, you know, because look what he did to bro. He hurt him over what? A tournament? And they just started staring at each other like, you know, he's leaving the door, he's coming in, and they just stared at each other like, boom. And they let their eyes do the talking. Like they know what it was. They can sense what each other was feeling. And after they walked past each other, none of them looked back. They just both continue walking. And that's the end of chapter 2. Chapter 3. Alright. Now Romanji left home, empty book bag, and now he's just walking away. You know? He just wants to get away. Now, these are his thoughts. I'm not going to survive this tournament alone. I need him. You know, I need someone to help me train and achieve my goal. He was right. I'm too weak and powerless. You know, he's getting discouraged now because he started to see what Trey was really saying. You know, uh, then he sat at a bench far away from his house, but like he could see his house from there. You know, he just started thinking to himself, "What am I going to do?" You know, he heard footsteps. He looked up. He saw a boy, a white boy, long, shiny, gold hair. You know, with a comb in his hand. He combing his hair back like this. You know what I mean? He stood right in front of Romanji, right? You know, asked him, "Bro, why are you crying?" And he said, laughing, like he laughing at dude crying. And Romanji's like, "I'm not even crying." He yelled at him and noticed that he had a sword on his hip. "Yes, you are," he said. "I see the tears." Romanji's already annoyed. He's already sad now. This guy is just bugging him. He said, "Shut up, kid." And the kid's like, "I'm not no kid." Now he said, I'm not even a kid. I'm 16. That's low key a kid. It's like you're not an adult in the eyes of the law. But Namaji looked up and down at him like he had like a white shirt, metal boots, pure silver boots, silver things, and a sword on his hip. Like, but like it seemed like it's covered with like yellow, bright yellow color. Like, but yeah, he was bizarre. Now Romanji came to the conclusion this guy ain't from here. He from the other side that they were at chapter one. You know, and then Romanji got up. He don't really like the people over there because the way they treat them. He was like, so what if I'm crying? What are you even doing here? What do you mean? I live here. I just be here. He said. No, you don't. Romanji said. Don't lie. Then the kid just started. Romanji started approaching him like, so like, what you doing on my block type stuff. And then the kid, he started backing away. He was like, hey, yo, calm down, man. He said, yes, I'm from the other side, but we're all one, right? He's joking. He's chuckling, right? Romanji looked at him like, just looked at his outfit, looked at everything, his long gold hair, his sword. He looked like a guy trying to pretend to be a knight. Romanji's just like, you can't be serious. Go tell your people that. And then, Romanji started to walk away from him. He didn't want to do it anymore. Whoa, the kid said, I may live there, but those are not my people. Whatever. Dang, the kid said, like, are you just rude to everyone? Dang, should have never skipped breakfast then. Romanji actually let out a little laugh. He was like, what? Because this kid's just yapping at this point. He's just yapping. He continued walking. And then, since he laughed at the joke, I guess the kid kept following him. He's not a kid, but they're both 16. Uh, they just started walking silently. Romanji, he's looking down at the floor, not really looking at where he's going. They going past the flooded streets. Mind you, their sheet is still flooded. The houses are still destroyed. Dead bodies. Like, it's a tough sight. Uh, and so, like, Flex, not, I already gave away the name. So, he decided to break the silence. And he was like, so, my name is Flex. And yours? Romanji, he said, all nonchalant, like, Where are you going, Romanji? He said, I don't see a map in your hand. And then he looked at him like, You're looking, you're barely looking up from the ground, and your book bag is open. He began to try closing it for Romanji. Yo, Romanji said, why are you even following me? Bothering me? Go on somewhere. The two were now face to face, like, this close. Like, he tried to zip up the book bag, and bro's like, they both close to face. And then Flex said, smiled. He said, I'm bored. Romanji's like, no way. You doing all this just because you're bored? Flex like, yeah, you know? And he seemed pretty genuine about it. Romanji actually relaxed a bit. He was like, I feel it, I feel it. You heard about the tournament? Romanji started talking to him now. Now the two were actually walking together. Yeah, I did. And I'm going, Flex said. Yo, he turned. He said, Romanji asked him, you think you're gonna win? And then he started glazing himself. He said, yeah, I got this sword, like the holy sword Excalibur, you know? He brought it out of its case and started swinging it. Started showing off like, yeah, you know. But like, and Romanji like, can I see it? Flex told him, yo, put both your hands out. And Romanji's like, bro, you just use one hand. I'm pretty sure I can do it too. And then Romanji put one hand out. Then Flex grabbed the sword. He he gave it to him. All right. Boom. Romanji started struggling. Like his arm fell to the ground. I was like, whoa, what the heck? Like, he's he was swinging out around this sword like this, and Romanji's like struggling to pick it up. Then he picked it up with both hands and was finally able to hold it. He just looked at him like, this kid, he actually very strong. Now he just grabbed his sword back casually. He was like, I told you so. Romanji was smiling like, dang, this kid must be strong if he just throwing it around like that. The sunset finally stopped. Boom. Now Mind you, Romanji them don't have streetlights. You know, times is tough. It's always like that. Um, then he saw that this kid had hazel green eyes. And Romanji told him like, yeah, I'm actually going to the tournament too. Now, Flex is like, he can see like this dude, why he so shaky about it? Like in his voice, he was saying it all hesitant, like, you feel me? And then he asked him, why you so shaky about it? Cause oh, because you don't have any powers, Flex said. Well, no one here does, even on my side. So why are you going? Why would you go? He started laughing. You must have read over the part where it said death is permitted. Haha. He started laughing some more. And then Ramanja said like, because look at this place. Look at our place. You know? Especially if like he started saying like basically Ramanji was saying. Was I going too fast? Okay, so basically Ramanji was saying, uh, look at the place we're at. If somebody else tries to attack again, we're just gonna die. It could be somebody way stronger. Like, why are they coming now? Da 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 da. And now he's just thinking like, no one's going to save us if I don't go do something. That's how he's thinking. He don't want to sit there and die. And then Flex responded to him, that's why I was here. Like, I was trying to kill the elephant, you know? But by the time it got here, it poofed, you know? And then he started going on a tangent about how he could have really taken it down. Da 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 da. He started fantasizing about killing a giant elephant, which a normal kid would want to, I guess, that has a sword. But he was like, but I get what you're saying. You rather risk, you rather take a risk of dying to get powerful than basically waiting to die powerless. And then Ramon's like, yeah, something like that. All right, I made up my mind. Risky sounds fun. I'll follow you. Ramon raised the eyebrow like, you know, just like that. And then Flex, I keep saying Trey. Flex said, yeah, because there was no way I was going with my annoying little brother. So I was just going alone. Ramonji hugged him and yelled, bad, you know? He was like, bad, man, bad, you know? Flex laughed like, you just hugged me, bro? Ramonji smiled, yeah, like, it's just something I do. My bad, my bad. Now, Ramonji told him that he couldn't go back home because, they might try to stop him, this, that. And the two reached the border of their hood, you know? It's like on a wooden thing. It just carved in the alleys, you know? He looked at his grandma's house, which was, right there in the corner. Then he touched it. He dragged his finger across it and he started walking away. Then boom, he went into the other neighborhood again. The first chapter they were there. Uh, Now he can no longer see his hood. It's so dark. They have no street lights. But over here they have lights though. Then he just stopped for a second. He's like, yo, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? He's just thinking to himself like, what am I actually getting myself into? Then Flex tapped him on the shoulder. He waved at him, yo, snap back into reality type it. And then Ramaj took a deep breath. And from there, within his heart, he told his hood goodbye. And that's that. That's the end of chapter 3. Yeah, I hope y'all like that read along. It was very fun. I like editing this. This book is already complete by this time. And I'm working on another book that's gonna push my mental, you know, but it's time to do something more, push myself to the limits, because that way I'm gonna get better. But tell me what y'all think about chapter 2 and 3. I know it's intense. We got a new character named Flex, and what y'all think about him, Romanji, and the dynamics. And of course, I'm gonna tell you guys again, Adamu underscore the writer on Wattpad. What else? Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed, and that's all. All right, y'all gonna see me in the next shot. All right, peace.